Okay, ladies and gentlemen, do we have a topic today? So, as of recording this, it has been probably around 24 hours, maybe a little bit less. I don't know exactly when it happened. But what I'm referring to, as you probably already know from the title and the thumbnail, but this is going to be another Patriots fan reacts. Everybody loves a good Patriots fan reacts because it just brings up so much controversy, doesn't it? I love Patriots fan reacts. Everybody with the hate comments, I love it. I love to see it. Send all the hate comments my way because I love them. All right, but this Patriots fan reacts is going to be a positive one. We're gonna be happy. This is good vibes only in this episode of a Patriots fan reacts because we're talking about Cam Newton. I love Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton is a great quarterback in the NFL. Probably a little bit past his prime here just because of the injuries. If he hadn't had so many back injuries and shoulder injuries and foot injuries and all that kind of stuff, he probably would be still in his prime, but he's like 30 years old now and he's just a little bit out of his prime in my opinion. But the reason we're talking about Cam Newton, if you guys haven't seen on Twitter or just in the news in general, Cam Newton has signed a one-year deal, again, with the New England Patriots. It's around $14 million, I think. I think it's around that area. And it's just another one-year deal. I am excited. I'm happy for Cam because I think he's a solid quarterback in this league. Now, do I think he's a starting quarterback in this league? Probably not. And that's just not saying because the Patriots are a bad team right now. I'm not saying that. He's probably not a starting quarterback on 25, 26 teams in the NFL. I'd say he'd be a starter for the Jags, obviously. Well, not if they take Trevor Lawrence. He'd probably be a starter for, I don't know, he'd probably be a starter for the Panthers, honestly, if he went back there and take over Teddy Two Gloves. He'd probably be a starter for the Saints if the Saints didn't have, if Drew Brees doesn't come back. He'd probably be a starter for the Jets. He'd probably be a starter for the football team. He'd probably be a starter for, who else has got a bad quarterback? Giants, maybe? Daniel Jones? How do we feel about Daniel Jones? I don't know. He'd probably be a starter over Daniel Jones. But is that about it? Maybe Chicago? Maybe he'd be a starter for Chicago? Not Cincinnati, not Buffalo, not maybe Denver. Forgot about Denver. Arizona, no. Philly? Philly'd probably be a starter for Philly. Not Miami. Green Bay, no. Baltimore, no. Kansas City, obviously, no. So maybe about 20 teams he'd be a backup for, and about 12 teams he'd be a starter for. But that's not the point. The point is, I'm happy with the signing of Cam Newton. I think he's a great quarterback, but this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of what the Patriots need to do. Now, everybody's saying how much cap room the Patriots have this offseason, and I'm super excited for it. But on the other hand, I'm not super excited. I'm not excited about the possibility of them screwing it up because they have a track record of not spending the money in the right areas and generally just not spending the money at all. That's the problem with being a Patriots fan. They don't really spend any money. They don't really have any money in general, but if they do, they don't really spend it. They just try and go out and get the cheap options, which sometimes it works out, but that's only works out when you have a Hall of Fame greatest of all time quarterback in Tom Brady. We don't have that anymore. We got Cam Newton as of right now. And Cam Newton, I personally think Cam Newton's a great quarterback, but even if we go out and we get a rookie quarterback, like say we go in the third round and we draft some quarterback, I don't even know what quarterback it would be that late in the draft, but let's say we pick up a quarterback in the draft, whoever it may be. Maybe it's Justin Fields. Maybe we trade up and get Justin Fields or Trey Lance or Zach Wilson. I don't know. Whoever it could be. It could be anybody. But it doesn't take away from the fact that this offense is not good. It's not 100% Cam's fault that we sucked. and didn't make the playoffs. It was a little bit Cam's fault. Cam didn't play very well after he came back from the virus. He did not play well. That's just facts. But he played decent enough to get a couple more wins. Now, there was some play calling that could be a little bit questionable, specifically that Seattle Seahawks game in like week 2, I think it was, or week 3, where they ran the ball in a clearly passing situation, which the Seahawks obviously knew it was going to be a run with Cam Newton, and yet we still went with it, and it didn't work, obviously. I could have called that, and I should have bet money on that they were going to run that with Cam. But that's a whole different argument. I think that whatever quarterback is the starting quarterback, whether it be Cam or whether it be some rookie or whether it be somebody else, it's going to be the same end result. There's only so much that a good quarterback can do with the limited amount of weapons that they have on the offense. They have one wide receiver in Julian Edelman, but he gets hurt all the time. No offense, Jules, I love you, but you get hurt all the time. If you somehow come across this video, no offense, I love you, you're one of my favorite players of all time, but you get hurt all the time, man. You get hurt all the time. N'Keal Harry never panned out. He's a big body receiver, but he hasn't developed. They've got Jacoby Myers, who I personally like as a receiver. I think he's a very talented receiver. He's just not a number 1. He's not even a number 2. He's probably 3 or 4 on a good team's depth chart. And he ends up being like a 3 or 4 on our depth chart too. And other than that, I mean, Gunnar Olszewski is just a special teams guy. He's not really anything. It's not a good weapon. They have no tight ends. Like, nobody of note on tight end. Running back, Damian Harris is a solid running back. He's a good running back. James White, obviously, good running back. Rex Burkhead, good running back. So the running back position is fine. They can make do with what they have. But the wide receiver and tight end position is just not good at all. Now, they did bring in Trent Brown. He's going to sign a contract and come back to play on the offensive line, which they do need because their offensive line is not great at all. They've got David Andrews, who's the best player on that team probably, and they had Joe Tooney, but I don't think they franchise tagged him, so he's probably going to be out the door, which is bad because Joe Tooney's the second best player on that line. And then Shaq Mason, but I think he sat out because of the virus last year. And that's another thing. A lot of the players, one of the other reasons why we were so bad, not just because we didn't have any weapons, which is true, but we had a lot of guys that sat out for health reasons and personal reasons because they didn't want to play during the virus and stuff. So Dante Hightower should be back if he's healthy. Patrick Chung should be back if he's healthy. We should have Shaq Mason back. We should have all the guys should be back this season, unless they choose to sit out again, which is I'm totally fine. I don't hate on anybody. I don't look down on anybody who chooses to sit out for the season on their health. That's totally up to you. It's your decision. I'm not mad about it that they sat out, but what if they come back? If they do decide to come back, then that should help us just that little bit. Maybe those guys would help us get maybe 1 or 2 more wins. That would have pushed us into the wild card spot. I don't know. But then we lose in the wild card. I don't know. It's probably good that we didn't make the playoffs this year. But I'm getting off track. Back to Cam. I think it's a good thing that they brought Cam in because Cam can be a solid backup. Last year, he had a lot on his plate. He had the expectations of trying to take over for what Tom Brady did, and nobody can ever fill those shoes. So, plus he had the virus, he had the pandemic, you had no weapons. It was a whole mix of bad situations for Cam. So I can't put the blame 100% on Cam, probably 50-50 from Cam and the rest of the team and Bill Belichick and all that stuff. And speaking of Bill Belichick, Bill needs to learn that the offense does matter. Like, now that Brady's gone, the offense matters even more. He focuses on the defense and on the special teams and just kind of forgets about the offense. But that's just what it seems from the outside looking in. But this year needs to be the year that Bill actually puts in the effort, pays the players. Robert Kraft needs to pay the players that will come in and be quality pieces. We don't need any big stars. We don't need. It would have been nice to have J.J. Watt, but we didn't. We don't need J.J. Watt, and now obviously he's in Arizona. It'd be nice to have a star player, but what's the use in getting a star player when the rest of the team's not that great? So it'd just be wasting your money when you could be filling out with with other players that are not star players, but are good quality role players in the good NFL, basically just good NFL players. That's what we need on this team. And it's basically a mix of quality and quantity. We need the quality in the quantity more than just the quality, is basically what I'm saying. So we need several good players instead of one great player. And that's why I'm kind of not mad. I'm not going to be that mad if they trade Stephon Gilmore, because they could get a lot in return for him. He's still a solid corner, one of the best in the league, top 5 probably. And they could get a lot back for him, which could then be turned into some good, maybe wide receivers, some good defensive tackles, some good tight ends, some good linebackers. Who knows? It's just, you got to flip the assets. You got to make the situations happen that are best for your team, and the Patriots need role players. They need better than what they have, basically. So I'm not saying it's a total rebuild, but it needs to be like a reload, basically. They need a reload, technically. Like, you know how in college, teams like Ohio State, Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Florida, all those teams, they don't ever rebuild. They just reload with incoming top 5 recruits and all the high level guys. They just reload their teams. That's what the Patriots need to do. And I hope that they can do it. And finishing off with just Cam, I think it's a good deal. It's not that much money. $14 million over 1 year is not crazy. That is rarely low-end quarterback money in today's NFL. So I think it's a good deal. They got him on a very cheap deal. It's solid. If he ends up being the starter, then fine. I'll be good with it. I hope he plays as good, or if not better. He did struggle. There is some times that Cam did struggle last year, so I hope he plays better than what he did last year. But then again, that comes back to the situation where we don't have any weapons for him to throw to. It's just it's a give and take there, and I think it's a good idea. It's totally positive. I think this is a great move for the Patriots. If he ends up being a backup, then fine. We got a great backup quarterback. Who wouldn't want to have Cam Newton as their backup quarterback? So I think this is a W. I think this is a W for the Patriots to get Cam Newton back on here. Plus, he's got another year to learn the system. He's got another year in the Patriots way to get acclimated to the Patriots way of life and stuff. So I think all in all, it's going to be a good deal to have Cam Newton back for one more season. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to have Cam back. I'm glad that they brought him back. I was kind of hoping they would, and now they have on a 1 year, $14 million deal. All right, you guys can let me know what you think. If you guys think that I'm totally stupid, then let me know, because I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear those hate comments, because I know that a lot of people hate me, and that's just what happens. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I don't really have anything else to say about the Patriots. There will be more Patriots fans reacts videos if in the coming off season. I'm going to be doing one for the first night of the draft, recapping the first round, what the Patriots did and what everybody else in the league did, seeing if where Justin Fields goes and and other stuff like that. I'm going to be doing one for the rest of the final rounds of the draft, recapping basically the whole Patriots draft. I'll probably do more of just the Patriots, focus on more than just the Patriots there, and not the rest of the league in the second recap of the draft, because it's going to be a little bit longer. I'll be doing one if they sign like a big time free agent, or if they sign somebody of note in free agency, and then if just anything else happens, like if a big trade happens or something, I'll just do a Patriots fan reacts to that. So be on the lookout for that. Smash that like button, notification bell, so you don't miss any of those videos and any of my other videos. Hit that subscribe button as well. Join the Juice Club. We are on the road to 300 subscribers. I know you guys want to see me get there. I want to get there too. I love you guys. Catch you in the next one. See ya!